Hi friends, I'm Melissa and welcome to Sentimental Salvage. Today we're going to be working with a whole bunch of products, and one of the first ones is going to be this Saint Nick mold. This is one of the new ones from IOD for the Christmas release. We're also going to be using the Winter Forage mold. We are going to be using the Winter Botanist transfer. We are also using from Roycycled's Christmas release of decoupage paper, and it is the Christmas wallpaper. So you can see half the page is this beautiful plaid, and the other half is this really nice wallpaper, kind of a floral. So I'm using the plaid today. So those are the products, and then random paint colors and your decoupage medium of choice. Okay, let's get to the fun part. Okay, let's get started with the resin. So this is a two-part quick set resin. So it's a 10-minute set and it turns white when it's set. And I've mixed up a whole bunch. I end up pouring some in another mold. I always make extra while I'm mixing resin. You may as well make enough to make a bunch of molds. So I'm filling it up here. You don't want to overfill because then the back of your mold ends up kind of dome shaped and it's hard to glue on things properly. So you just want to have it so that it's level. So it's all set up and it just pops right out of these molds. It works so perfectly. Look how wonderful he is. There's many options for resins that you can use. I use the Amazing Casting resin. So now I'm prepping for decoupage. This is just white paint, White Swan by DIY, and I just am painting it on the inset part where I want to put the decoupage paper. For decoupage medium, I'm using Liquitex matte medium, and I'm just putting a nice even coat on here. And then we're going to mist the paper a little bit just to let those fibers kind of expand so you don't get any wrinkles. And I'm still using the little scrumpled up piece of food wrap here because this is an inset part and they're a little bit more tricky sometimes. So I want to be able to kind of maneuver that paper where I need it without tearing it. And then of course another coat of the Liquitex or your decoupage medium of choice over top to seal everything in. So I've decided I'm going to go with a black frame or an almost black. This is a really, really dark charcoal color. And I'm just going to paint the entire wood frame with this. Try to get as neat as you can around the edges on that inset part. It saves you some annoyance and touch-ups later. And make sure you get the outside edge. I've been working so much lately, I can barely find the time to sleep. Yeah, I spend my time running around, keeping people. Now I've decided to go with Winter Botanist in my background. So I'm going to layer this right on top of the decoupage paper. So first I'm going to cut it out, and I'm going to cut around the image. I don't want the butterflies on it, and I don't want the text that's in the center. So I'm going to cut all of that out. This is my favorite holiday. It's a chance to start over new. And I'm just cutting around the image because it is going in this little inset area of this frame, and it's just easier without all the excess backing on there. Just kind of eyeball where I want to put it. Do a little test run with Saint Nick and see how it looks. I think that's going to look good. Christmas memories, oh, and I've been longing to hold you close, forget about everyone else. Isn't this how it's Take the backing off and then make sure you're sure of where you want to place it. It's not as particular on something like this as it is on glass, because once your transfer touches glass, you're not moving it. So you got to be very careful. But this is a little bit more forgiving. So I'm just going to press it down with my fingers kind of to get it seated. And then I'll take the pusher stick and start working that design down. I like to go over the whole design with the pusher stick before I start actually removing that backing sheet. I've almost got it all off. There we go. I'm just going to burnish it a little bit with my fingers just to make sure it's all set and adhered properly. It really goes well with this paper. Okay, so now we're on to the winter forage mold, and this time I'm using clay because I want some flexibility. So even though this is a really delicate mold, I'm going to give it a go with the clay. I think I can make this happen. So I'm just taking little bits at a time and pushing it in. I like to push it in kind of from the center towards the micro rim on the outside edge and just take as much excess as I can away. Just keep pushing it in. And then just with a putty knife, or a putty knife or scraper or whatever you call this thing, just going to smooth the back out as good as I can so that that micro rim shows that nice clean edge. And then I just turn it out. Now this is clay and it's got tiny little stems, so it's pretty delicate and it's going to fall apart, and that's fine. I'm not worried about it. And I want to make two. So here goes part number 2. Process. You really want to make sure you're pushing it in there well so that you're getting all of that detail. These molds have so much detail in them. You don't want to miss out on any of that by not getting your clay down in there. Making our Christmas memories. I've been wrapping presents for you. I've been hanging marbles in the tree. And I've lit my house with Christmas lights, so you should come back home to me. And when we wake up in the morning, I'm gonna play those carols that you love. Okay, now we're gonna place this on here. And I'm gonna kind of maneuver it around and see how I like it without totally destroying it. This one stays together pretty good, but... And with one of these little clay tools, I just fix any little areas or trim any little pieces that I need to trim off. The good thing about the clay is that it's really workable. So you can go in with these big pieces, but you don't have to use it as a whole. You can take pieces and leaves and berries, and you can move them around and use whichever piece wherever you want it. You can kind of redesign it and make it work for your project. And I'm just pushing the clay down because this is a tiered, it's not a flat surface, obviously. And I'm wanting it to kind of maintain its detail and its design, but I want it to kind of follow the tier of this frame. And then I want it to dry like this. Once I figure out where all these leaves are going to go, lots of trial and error, trying to figure it out where you want everything. I'm going to put this aside to dry, and I'm going to give Santa a base coat of just a cream color. So any kind of paint that you have, it's nothing brand specific. And this is just a cream color to go as a base. Okay, so this has been sitting a couple days. So it is all dry, and now I'm going to paint it. None of them are glued on. If you remember, I just placed them on there so that they would take that shape, and then I just wanted to let it dry. Just because I find it kind of easier to paint when it's not attached. So I'm going to paint them with Dark and Decrepit, and that will be my base. So I'm going to paint the back also, just to finish it off. I'm not worried about perfection on the backs, just to get some color back there. Because they are kind of lifted, I want that to, just in case you can catch a glimpse behind. Okay, I don't know how I'm going to do this. So I'm being really careful with these because I don't want them to break. Because these are air dry clay, so they're a little more delicate than if you made them out of resin. That's obviously not going to want to stick anyways. Just has a tiny little stem there holding it together, so. So I'm just using this as a base. So my coverage doesn't have to be perfect. I just don't want that bright white underneath. And usually with base coats, I like to use something that has a built-in top coat, so I don't have to worry about reactivating it when I actually go ahead to add my color. This is kind of delicate, obviously, but with the amount of detail on these molds, I don't want to try to navigate around all these edges. Oh. Once it's glued on. It's doable. It depends how patient you are. I'm not that patient, so I find this, even though it's a little bit finicky, trying to hold these castings and paint it, I still think that that's going to be easier than trying to paint it once it's already on the piece. At least this stage. Okay, now let's see if we can put this back together. So I'm going to just squeeze out a little bit of my Tite Bond glue into this little watercolor tray. So I can grab it with a brush. Because it'll be easier to apply. But first, we have to try and see how this was put together. Okay, now I have to let that dry really well. So we're going to set that aside again. Okay, so I originally painted him with a cream color, and now I'm deciding that I'm gonna do the same thing with the Dark and Decrepit. I'm gonna keep the same theme going. So we're gonna get this so that it's all in those little nooks and crannies. So he's gonna look like a vintage antiqued Saint Nick. Okay, now same kind of thing is I want him to dry, but first, right over his face, I'm kind of gonna dab that back so that it's not as dark. Just to brighten up his features. Actually, I'm just gonna wipe him all back so that the Dark and Decrepit just stays down in those details. As I'm working, I'm discovering a different method, or not a method, but a different plan. Plans always change. I always go into a project with intentions of it going one way, but they always seem to change, so. He looks good just like that, but I think he needs color. I'm just gonna grab this to show you, Because see, to just put him on there like that, he just kind of disappears, right? Because of all the color in the background. So I think if I went with some color over him, like especially the red for his hat and the white, I think that'll bring him out more. So he doesn't just disappear on the background. Okay, so we will let these dry completely and then we will be back for the finishing. Hi, I'm back. So a couple days have passed again. I've been letting things dry and I'm going to put you down here so you can see. There we go. Okay, so this is all dry on here now. They're not moving. We're good to go. Same with Santa. He's nice and dry now. So we're going to work on Santa first. So I'm going to put this just aside here a little bit. Just gonna grab out a couple brushes. I'm not sure what I'm going to need yet. I want this to kind of be like a dry brush. I think I'm just gonna use this little thing again. Because I'm not gonna need a lot of paint for this. So I'm just dabbing most of it off. And then we're just going to gently dry brush this on here.
Well, I'm all for Christmas, all the happy smiles and the wishes, and I want it all from the lights to the
I don't want to get
mistletoe.
any of the red
Tell me one thing,
where I don't want it, like on his little pom-pom or anything.
I will keep you warm as soon as you.
And I'm not going for complete coverage because I want it to look kind of old and antique-y. See how the dark is still showing through in the creases. I think it looks good like that. And you could do this kind of the other way around. You can paint him the way you want and then do the dark and decrepit on top and just wipe it back. It's another way of doing it. It gives you a slightly different look, but it also works.
Whatever we do, we will be alright. These holiday wonders will open your mind. May all your wishes tonight come true. The love I lived, the dream I knew. Well, I'm all for Christmas. It's a magical time full of kisses. Take a walk outside and tickle the snowman's nose. Moving nimbly, did you hear something from the chimney? I will keep you warm as soon as you remove that snow. Oh, whatever we do, we will be alright. These holiday wonders will open your mind. May all your wishes
I think he looks pretty handsome.
The love I lived, the dream I knew. This Christmas, I only wanna be close to you.
Tiny little speck of reflection in his eyes. so they don't look like just deep dark holes, because that would be creepy. Okay, let's see how he's gonna look here. Oh, he looks much better. And he kind of doesn't blend into the background now. Okay, so now with these, I want to take, I'm gonna need smaller brushes. And we're going to give a little bit of life to these berries in the same way. We're gonna go with just some dry brushing. Right on these berries. I like that. I actually think I'm going to put some dark wax over Santa because I like this better. So I think if I put some dark wax and tone him down a little bit more, I'm gonna like that better. So let's do that. And I still don't know where my paint key is. And I keep forgetting to grab another one from the garage. Okay, now he's got a little bit. More of a softer glow. Yeah, I like that better. And now he doesn't stand out so much. So I'm going to glue him on there. I'm going to quickly just give the back a sanding, just so that it's not so shiny. Okay. Now let's glue him down. All right, so we're gonna let him dry, and then I'm gonna come back with some dark wax and kind of make him kind of pop off here a little bit, just with a little bit around the edges. Or dark and decrepit, I haven't decided yet, one or the other. But we're gonna let this dry. So this is pretty dry now. So I am going to go with a wax. First, I'm going to clean up any bits here. One thing about using baby wipes is they shed. Just cleaning up any of the little bits I've got on here. And I'm just going to go over the whole thing with wax. And this is Annie Sloan's dark wax. You can use whatever wax you prefer. Just make sure this is dry. And I'm going to wax right on over all of this holly. I really like how that turned out, and I don't think it needs anything extra. I think if I put, because I contemplated transfers or anything on this edge, but I think if I put anything else on there, it's just going to be too much. It's going to end up being way too busy. It's on the verge of too busy for me as it is. But I think the holly up here is my favorite part. I really like how that turned out. I really, really like how that turned out, actually. And Saint Nick is looking pretty handsome too. So I think he turned out pretty good. Let me know what you guys think. All right, friends, that's it for today. Go make something amazing, and I'll see you next time.